Know thyself first. Identity before image in the Stoic life. Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. Epictetus. Adornment without identity. We live in a time obsessed with presentation. From curated social media profiles to luxury fashion to job titles and bios, we spend so much time crafting the image of who we want others to believe we are, without ever asking the more ancient, terrifying question, who am I, really? Epictetus' quote is both a challenge and a warning. Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. In other words, don't decorate the mannequin before you understand the soul inside it. In this essay, we'll explore why true power and peace come not from how you look, speak, or perform, but from how deeply and honestly you know your nature, and how everything outside of that knowledge, fashion, speech, influence, must follow the truth, not fake it. Part 1. The Age of Image and the Collapse of Identity in the Truman Show. Jim Carrey plays a man whose entire life is a stage, and he doesn't even know it. Surrounded by a false world, he behaves as he's been trained, until one day, the cracks begin to show. We are all Truman now. We smile for photos, pose for status, perform ourselves for audiences that don't care, and algorithms that never sleep. The more we curate image, the more we risk losing identity. And the soul grows quiet while the mask grows louder. Part 2. What the ancients knew. Identity precedes adornment. The Stoics were minimalists not because they hated pleasure, but because they feared deception. They believed that before we add anything to ourselves, wealth, fame, beauty, we must know what's already there. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." But what does examination mean? It means asking, what do I value more than comfort? What engages me, and why? Who am I when no one's looking? Only then, Epictetus says, should we adorn, meaning build habits, develop style, speak beliefs, from a place of knowing, not pretending. Part 3. Hollywood's identity crisis. Hollywood is filled with characters who wear masks, both literally and metaphorically. But the most enduring ones are those who go through an identity crisis and come out real. Tony Stark hides behind tech and arrogance until he nearly dies and rebuilds his life with clarity. Bruce Wayne wears the mask of Batman, but it's the trauma of childhood loss that drives him, not the cape. Neo, in The Matrix, must wake up to his real identity before he becomes the one. Elsa, in Frozen, sings about letting go, but only after discovering who she actually is, beyond fear and expectation. We connect to these stories not because they are superhuman, but because they reflect our most basic need, to live from truth, not costume. Part 4. The Trap of Borrowed Identities. You were born with a name, but over time, you acquired labels: smart, lazy, hot-headed, funny, broken, successful. Often, we wear these labels long after they stop fitting. We imitate others, our parents, influencers, peers. We try on beliefs like outfits, never asking if they match our soul. To adorn yourself without self-knowledge is to dress a stranger, and then mistake the mirror for the truth. Epictetus is calling us back, not to shame us, but to center us. Know who you are, then, only then, dress like it. Part 5. Religion, ritual, and the sacred self. Throughout history, prophets and sages insisted that the path to God begins with self-knowledge. The Oracle of Delphi had one command: know thyself. Jesus retreated into the desert, not to teach, but to discover clarity. Buddha sat under the tree, to know the illusion of self and break it. Hinduism speaks of the Atman, the true self, beyond ego, beyond status. Ritual, clothing, symbols, they matter, but only if they arise from inner alignment. Otherwise, religion becomes costume. Spirituality becomes performance, and the soul stays hungry. Part 6. Who are you when no one watches? Strip away the title, the followers, the looks, the charm, the money, the script. What's left? Are you kind when no one sees it? Are you disciplined when no one claps? Are you honest when no one would know? Self-knowledge isn't mystical, it's brutal honesty. It's a willingness to look in the mirror and say, "This is who I am. These are my wounds. These are my values." Then, and only then, can you move with clarity. Then you're no longer acting, you're simply aligned. Part 7. Building identity from the inside out. Here's how to begin. Silence. Journal. Walk. Sit. Let the noise die. Inventory. List your values. The top 3 that you want your life to reflect. Test. Track your daily actions. Do they match those values? Adjust. Remove anything external that contradicts your internal compass. Express. Now, speak, dress, post, build from the inside out. Adornment is powerful, but only when it follows truth. Part 8. What happens when you don't know who you are, when you lack identity? You chase appearance. You exhaust yourself trying to please, prove, or perform. You fear rejection, because rejection feels like erasure. But when you know yourself, rejection becomes redirection. When you own yourself, you stop renting validation from strangers. The result: peace, a groundedness that no applause can give, and no insult can shake. Part 9. Famous figures who dress their soul. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, always wore a red sweater, not to brand himself, but because it reflected his calm, warm essence. Steve Jobs, black turtleneck, jeans. Not flashy, but consistent, clean, clear. Frida Kahlo, bold color, unapologetic beauty. Her style was her story, honest and raw. Albert Einstein wore the same outfits daily. He wanted fewer decisions and more clarity. These weren't costumes, they were extensions of the self. Adornment, rightly done, becomes art, but only after identity becomes clear. Part 10. Conclusion. Dress the flame, not the ashes. You are not what you wear, but what you wear can reflect who you are if you start from within. Don't decorate the ego. Don't adorn the fear. Don't style the insecurity. Know first who you are. Then build, adorn, speak, walk accordingly. Because when your identity leads, beauty follows, and when your soul shines, style becomes truth. This is what Epictetus meant. This is what the modern world needs. Not another brand, not another voice, but a real self, dressed with intention. Know yourself. Then let the world see what truth looks like.